Action and go. Good morning. As Mariam, just like vibes. It's Saturdays. Okay.
It's
sorry. Remix.
Let's go. Remix.
And then
okay. I don't know any rap songs about Friday, but I was ready to drop a beat and then you drop bars or the other way around. Do they make rap songs about Friday? Because it's Friday there. It's you know.
And
hello Friday. Akuna rap.
It's a good point. I'm here racking my brain. Wow. Okay.
Nothing.
It's okay.
Blackjack.
Challenge.
Do you know any rap
challenge
songs
unlocked.
about Friday?
Jackso? Rap songs on Friday?
Nah.
Okay. It is well. Welcome to Fixing the Nation. And thank you, Barbara. She has this thing that she says, morning declarations.
Yes.
Hey.
She speaks into your life.
Sometimes I catch it when I'm in the lift and I've come very early and I'm almost like, let me take a moment.
Yeah. You're like, hey.
Let it just like sit with. So thank you, Barbara.
There's something so soothing about listening to Barbara. I don't know how I don't know how to explain.
Yeah.
Weskiza utajua utelewa, okay? 4 to 6 a.m. on Nation FM.
Praise break.
Yes, praise break.
Yeah.
Listen to Barbara Koinange.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just something incredibly settling, soothing, affirming, rooting, all
grounding.
those grounding,
That's
all
true.
of those.
Even us, even me, Mariam, Eric, very soothing to listen to. Every day, 6 to 10. Hey.
Tukikwambia tu vile umeibiwa, wana abduct watu, jirani anatuchukia, we are so soothing. It's like the best content ever. If you want to fall asleep, we recommend that you listen to Fixing the Nation. You won't have nightmares, promise.
That's hilarious. One of these days, I need to do a full transition.
Yeah.
If I'm ever off and listen to Praise Break followed by Fixing. To just see how jarring it is.
How jarring it is.
Yep. That's hilarious what you've said. But thank you.
It's probably jarring.
It's
You're
very,
right.
from morning declaration to, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Mariam doesn't even know some of the headlines that she said. We were laughing earlier because we don't have the physical dailies
The
with
paper,
us.
yeah.
And we said we should, the digital, but we said we should play a game where we're like, guess the headlines.
Yes. And that's
No, guess.
Nimeguess ni hivyo too, actually. Kuna mtu amekuibia, kuna place mtu hajafanya kenye alikuwa anafaa kufanya, kuna mtu anajaribu ku bypass the law in one way or another.
Stima hatujui kama utapata leo, kesho hatujui. Load shedding may just be like, tumefika, pole sana.
Out of nowhere.
We're here. Before we tell you what's in the dailies, I want to tell you about what we'll be discussing today. And yes, Eric will be back next week. I know a few of you are like, where's Eric? But he'll be back. So it's Mariam and I today.
Modogashe. That's basically the end of the road.
Okay, and it's
so
Friday.
We've come
to the end. Mariam, it's truly Friday.
It's really
a song
Friday.
For every feeling and statement.
There's really one for everything.
So we'll have a conversation with somebody who I think was so critical in a lot of what happened last year, just in terms of amplifying the voices of agitation and change, and even giving rise to Civic Rise, actually quite literally, a platform that was able to translate the finance bill in different vernaculars and really, a very critical role in a lot of what happened last year, the push for justice. So that's at 7. Tell us about that.
That's right. So I think Nivo too mesema, to be quite honest. We went through a lot and there were quite a number of people who are making it their mission to have every Kenyan informed on what's happening as far as the finance bill is concerned, as far as their civil liberties are concerned, as far as their safety are concerned. And Zia is one of those people. So I call, he's many things. He's a comedian, an influencer, and an activist.
Yeah.
So I call it artivism. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Atakuchekesha, but kuna kanini kanaingia.
Ka message. Yeah. Because that's what works with us, I guess. Remember, we've talked about it a lot, Kenyans. I don't know, we need to unpack that one day, why we resolve things through humor. But that's at 7.
Yes.
And then 8 to 10, there's this very long holiday. It's always so funny. From as far back as when I was in the newsroom, way before I had kids. When the long holiday would come, I would just hear everyone from the editor to fellow reporters saying, 2 months, what are we? And I used to be like, why would you say that?
Yeah, they're your kids. Why would you? Until.
As a mother, first of all, I've been up since 1 this morning.
No.
Because they had tummy issues. So I'm operating on God's grace. I know. It's okay. There's a lot of people who I know will resonate with. It's okay. Umerauka, utaenda job. You'll do your work.
Okay.
You'll go home. point is,
Wachani mungeze kahawa, guys. I'll be right. I'm just getting her a fresh cup of a third.
Anaenda hivi anakam espresso, line them up.
1 in the morning.
1 in the morning, mommy, my tummy. 2, mommy. So we sat after giving some meds and herbs and prayers and just
mitishamba kila kitu.
We're like, now let's just sit still and see how we feel. So we sat till they started dozing off. I'm like, okay. I woke up to get ready to come here. So point is, Mariam, your empathy is unmatched. God bless you.
Mali huru poleni.
I know.
Yeah.
But they're resilient. But just going back to now when I had there's a long holiday and it's many things. A lot of the time, parents are just, there's many things to worry about. You want your children to be engaged. You want them to be safe. You want them to be, to also rest. It's a mix of things, but more than anything, I think there's a sense of helplessness of trying to figure out what do we do for 2 months.
Yeah.
There's also data that shows during these months, sometimes you have a lot of incidents, whether it's spikes in incidents of abuse, including things like teen pregnancy. It's a multitude of feelings and emotions. And I think when parents say that, I used to feel like it's insensitive, but it comes from a place of almost helplessness and fear because you have to be working, you have to be doing what you're doing. So I think this digital baraza and conversation we're having for a few hours today, hopefully will set the tone for what exactly is it that people feel apprehensive about.
When it comes
let's unpack that.
A 2-month holiday.
A 2-month holiday. And then let's go through the pros, the cons, what we need to keep an eye on, what we need to try and engage kids on. A little bit of child protection will probably come into that. So if that's you, you can join us on our baraza. You can call in. You can send us your messages. I think it's been a week or two
since they've closed.
So
there hasn't been traffic for. Yeah, that's the gauge. That's the gauge I use. Like, when was the last time kulikuwa na traffic mbaya? I feel it feels like at least a week. I'm not sure. It could be 2, but for sure maybe a week.
Yeah. So kumendaje, guys? How's it going? How are we feeling about it? And let's just unpack that.
Very true.
Yeah.
So that will be 8 to 10. Tutakuwa on X, tutakuwa kila mahali actually.
Yes.
Talking about protection of children, especially in online spaces. But let's get into our quote for the day.
This is true. I was going to say we have Milka Wahu, children's rights advocate.
Yes.
Ivana Waweru, child psychologist, among others, which is a really good lineup. And like Mariam said, there is a huge actually worry about child safety online because now that it's a long holiday, forget what was happening a decade ago. Right now, it's screen time that's also causing quite a bit of the anxiety. So, hopefully we just figure out reported cases of child neglect also tend to come up.
Right.
And so screen time, mental health, all of that's going to be happening. Quote for today is from Yvonne Adhiambo Owor. She's a Kenyan novelist. In 2014, during a book launch conversation, she just said one sentence. Sometimes the wound is the country itself. Sorry. I know it's Friday, but Mariam was, quote your Friday, let's go. Sit with it. Sometimes the wound is the country itself. I know this week I've been doing a lot of, we need to look inward, we need to
heal. We can't heal what we haven't confronted.
Yesterday, we need to be honest. We are a country that is not honest with ourselves.
Right.
So Binyavanga Wainaina said that in 2012, and Yvonne said this in 2014. And it's literally full circle. We're coming back to a point where it's a great country. We know this. We know we are some of the best people in the world, most resilient, brightest, hardworking. But I think we're a bit of a wound. Regionally, globally, it's a bit of a wound happening. But sometimes the wound is the country. And so it has to be healed from different angles, Pole Mariam.
No. Ukwelina, when they say the truth hurts, that's exactly what they mean. When they say truth hurts, aki mingia hapo, nani ukuli.
Do you think it's a fair statement or do you think it's a bit too big a statement?
So, when I think of, and I don't mean the country, when I say the country, I don't mean the people.
Right.
I don't mean the landscape, the physical. I mean the foundation of the country and what it was built on. That's a big wound. So in that sense, I agree with
that's
it.
That's really well said.
When you think of colonial injustices that were never righted and coming into an administration that as much as was calling for independence, was a little bit friendly with the colonialist. And then think of like land injustices and all those that followed. You think of post-election violence, you think of abductions, killings throughout the years. All of those, like those things are unfortunately part of our DNA. So the wound is in the country itself. It's not, I wouldn't say we are the problem. We're definitely part of it as people, but not the big part. I wouldn't say it's all Kenya, you know, the hills and the beaches, no. But I think foundationally, there's a wound there.
That's really well said.
Yeah.
It's important to recognize that, you can't always lay blame on people who are caught up in circumstances of poor governance, leadership, and unresolved injustices. Yeah, very, very well said. Today you'll sing your way into online Taifa Leo.
I will. 1, 2, 3. Taifa Leo kwa habari na makala moto moto. There we go. Aya, tuingie Taifa Leo. Na leo there's a few headlines here. Moja, Joey ni ng'ombe 100. Kalonzo akirudi kutoa heshima za mwisho kwa Raila pale Bondo. So kiongozi wa Wiper, Kalonzo Musyoka alifika of course at the resting place ya Raila Odinga na ng'ombe 100. Other headlines, wabunge waonya wananchi kuhama maeneo yanayokabiliwa na hatari ya maporomoko na mafuriko. Yesterday we were asking, where are the warnings? Where are the warnings? Well, here's the warning. This is coming from MPs. Wazazi na wanafunzi wa shule za bweni kulipa karo sawa kuanzia mwaka ujao. I think that's a good place to start actually with that story, because if you're having students who are in boarding school and wa shule za bweni ya kulipa karo sawa kuanzia mwaka ujao paying the same as other schools, then I think it would be, I don't know, a little bit unfair. But let's have a look at that. Wazazi wa wanafunzi wanaojiunga na shule za upili za bweni kuanzia Januari mwaka ujao wamepata mshtuko baada ya Wizara ya Elimu kutangaza mwongozo mpya wa kujiunga na shule za upili chini ya mtaala unaotegemea umilisi. That's how you say CC. Mtaala unaotegemea umilisi. Okay. Mwongozo huo unasema kuwa wanafunzi wote wa shule za bweni watatakiwa kulipa karo sawa ya shule bila kujali shule watakayochaguliwa kusomea. Aidha, mwongozo huo umepunguza kiasi cha fedha kinachotengwa kwa shule za kutwa, that's FDSE, kwani wanafunzi watalipa sehemu ya karo ya shule. Kwa wakati huu, wazazi wanalipa karo kulingana na aina ya shule, whether ni ya kitaifa, mikao au za county, ili kupunguza mzigo wa kifedha. Kulingana na mwongozo huo, karo ya shule za bweni itabakia 53,000. Wazazi wa wanafunzi wa shule za kutwa watalipa 9,000 na wanafunzi wenye mahitaji maalum watalipa 37,000. Serikali itatoa mgao wa 12,000 kwa kila mwanafunzi wa shule za kutwa na 32 kwa wanafunzi wenye mahitaji maalum. Now, yesterday we spoke about capitation going down from 22,000 to 12,000, and they're sticking to their guns. But the fact that whether you are in a county, so now do we call them national schools? Either county, extra county, whatever school, you'll be paying the same across the board. I have several questions. One, does it cost the same to maintain a student in all schools countrywide? And by that I mean, there's the basics of food, water, sleeping places, paying staff, that's fine. But I think this discrepancy used to come in because, especially for what we used to call national schools and provincial schools, so county and extra county, they have a lot more resources, right? They have labs, they have labs for sure, proper stocked labs, they have pools, they have gaming grounds,
a lot of facilities,
basically, that's it. So I don't know if it costs the same to maintain that as it does, or is there some move to then equip other schools that don't fall into those categories, and is this 53,000 shillings also enough to keep a student in school for a year, well fed, well taken care of health-wise, with a pen and paper, and all they need to learn, a well-stocked lab, sports facilities, the whole nine.
Yeah. I feel like this is the kind of conversation I don't feel satisfied that we've exhausted, because we had, I think, even another digital baraza around facilities, around being able to accommodate the number of students, again, around the cost of maintenance. So it still feels like something that's, especially when you see news like this, maybe just come back to the table to say, okay, can we verify why it's across the board the same thing?
Yeah.
And I just worry about inequality, the deepening inequality of a system that's trying to put everybody in a certain category,
right,
when the limitations are so diverse. So I think that's very worrying.
It is incredibly worrying.
Yeah.
You're right, actually. We're being lumped into one, but not one.
Not at all.
The front page of the Taifa Leo pia, there's that story on Joey, ni ng'ombe 100, Kalonzo akirudi kutoa heshima za mwisho kwa Raila pale Bondo. Yes.
Okay.
And the fact that this happened yesterday, kiongozi wa Wiper Democratic Movement Kalonzo Musyoka tarehe 6 Novemba alifika kwa kishindo pale Opoda Farm Bondo kutoa heshima za mwisho kwa aliyekuwa waziri mkuu hayati Raila Amolo Odinga. Akiwa amevaa nguo za rangi ya kijani na kubeba mkuki wa ngao, Kalonzo aliongoza msafara wake kumwenzi kiongozi huyo mashuhuri ambaye alikuwa mshirika wake wa kisiasa tangu uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2013. Katika ishara ya mshikamano na heshima ya kitamaduni, msafara wa Wiper pia ulipeleka ng'ombe 150 kwa familia ya Odinga, ishara inayowakilisha mshikamano wa heshima wakati wa majonzi. Makamu rais huyo aliandamana na gavana wa Machakos Wavinya Ndeti, gavana wa Makueni Mutula Kilonzo Jr., wazee wa Ukambani, wataalamu, viongozi wa dini, wabunge wa zamani na wa sasa, pamoja na wanachama wa Wiper. Msafara wao uliondoka Kisumu mapema asubuhi na of course kufika Opoda Farm baadaye. Kalonzo alisema alivaa mavazi ya rangi ya kijani kama ishara ya kisiasa kumwenzi Raila kama baba wa maandamano. Akimpongeza kwa kupigania uhuru wa kidemokrasia Kenya kupitia maandamano ya amani. Alisema kuwa rangi ya kijani ilikuwa ni ishara ya ushujaa, upinzani na moyo kupigania haki za wananchi. Jackson, I don't know if you have bites from that story, but I think even later on it would be nice to hear from Kalonzo Musyoka. We'll probably get to listen in to him a little bit later. I think a very lovely gesture. Also honoring the tradition with the family. Oh, can you imagine? And I know this is the burden of all African families, but during times of loss, it's your burden to host. Watu watachanga, yes, but essentially you are hosting, you're grieving, but you're comforting other people. You know, you're cooking for them, you're cleaning, unawapikia chai, you're doing everything. So I think it's good to also pour back into families that are grieving. Because I can't imagine how many people have been to Opoda Farm in the last 3-4 weeks, actually, in the last month. And wamekula wote, probably. Wamekunywa chai, wamekunywa soda. I mean, the Odingas may not be struggling for money, but still, it's a weight, is what I'm saying.
It's still a weight. Yeah. And it feels like it's going to be, and I think there was a piece of that in the paper, I'm not sure if it was today, that said that we can expect this for a long time to come. It's almost like a pilgrimage of sorts. I think there's something very symbolic about it. And then to your point, of course, then they're hosting the other members of the political class. And even for them, I do not see that slowing down. You can imagine even in the giving period during Christmas.
Right.
I expect that they'll be even busier hosting. People are obviously coming from a good place. They're going to condole, they're going to honor. But you're right, it does come with that burden of saying, okay, emotionally, we have to prepare. I think it's something that we know is done culturally, so a lot of people try to make room for it within their hearts. It would be amazing to hear down the line what that process has been like for the Odinga family, how they were able to hold space for losing one of their own, even though they were aware that they lost somebody who they shared with the rest of the country, the continent, and that kind of thing.
Right.
So,
You're absolutely right. And that part, someone that they shared with, the rest of the country. Before tufunge taifa leo, dondo.
Oh no.
You know,
Utaanza nitafute.
just because Latif would be so mad if we didn't do dondo. He'd be like, what's happening here? Hapa Mtwapa mjini. Haya. Jombi wa hapa alishangaa mume wa kipusa anayemhudumia katika duka la masaji alipomwonya akome kumnyemelea mkewe. Awali alidhani ni utani wa kawaida wa wanaume wenye wivu, lakini Polo akaendelea kumtisha, achana na mke wangu kabisa, alionya. Inasemekana kipusa alikuwa mwepesi wa tabasamu na mcheshi kwa wateja wote, huku akiwajuza kupitia WhatsApp kuhusu huduma mpya na zilizoboreshwa kazini ili asiwapoteze. Mumewe alipopata jumbe ambazo demo alikuwa akimtumia mteja wake wa nguvu, aliingia na wivu na kushuku mteja alikuwa akimtamani mwanadada huyo, na ndipo alianza kumtumia jumbe za kumwonya.
Ni wapi Diani Kwale?
Hapa ni, let me check, ni Mtwapa mjini.
Ni Mtwapa mjini, haya.
Nasema, unacheza na moto na utachomeka. Wachana kabisa na mke wangu. Polo alisisitiza bila kujua alikuwa akijitia mashakani kwa kuendeleza unyanyasaji wa mtandaoni. So this guy got probably, what would I call it? Not arrested. Like, this is basically cyberbullying. And with the new Cybercrime Act, right? He could be in big trouble. Kuna pia Kalameni atishia kuumbua mteja wa mkewa akishuka wanaponda raha pamoja. Let me see what that story is about. Hey, this is an old dondo.
It's an old one.
It's an old dondo.
Oh, it's an old one.
Yes, but we'll have a look at some few other dondos. Alafu tutaangalia pia Kalubandika. But we can take a look at the Business Daily. Or do you have one more dondo for us?
I'm trying to see. Nashindwa kusoma sijui kama ni macho. Mama sukuma mumewe adai familia ya marehemu. Mama asukuma mumewe adai familia ya marehemu.
Oh.
This is Naswet Narok. Hey, Polo na mkewe walikosa kuelewana mazishini mwanadada alipomsukuma mumewe awadai jamaa wa boma hilo pesa alizokom. Okay, wenda zake. So that's that. Okay. Mariam and I are just...
We're trying.
Kalubandika is something. I know you love this. So Dondo is Latif, Kalubandika is usually Mariam.
Yes, that's true.
Umepata? Wamesema, Kalubandika, sielewi kwa hii menu, Kakamega ni msumari ni nini? Kakamega na misumari ni nini? Alafu anasema, hiyo ni ugali na omena. Na uji ni pombe, na pombe ni uji.
Well done, Kalubandika. Yo. Ebu nikumbushe ati nini na msumari?
Amemuuliza Kalubandika, sielewi kwa hii menu Kakamega na misumari ni nini? So sasa amesema hiyo ni ugali na omena. Aya, alafu uji ni pombe na pombe ni uji. Alafu anamwangalia, she's just like, okay. But from now on we should be very clear. If you go somewhere, just be sure hii ni uji ama ni nini.
Yeah.
Just ask, okay. Because you never know.
Alafu kwanza ukiambiwa uji power. No, I'm kidding.
I love uji power. There's a number on the system.
Imagine I've never had uji power.
It's the best.
Okay.
Uji power is good. It's okay.
I
got you.
You've got
I know
me.
exactly where you need to go.
Thank you.
I know exactly where you need to go.
Thank you.
And she's interesting because she does so well. She doesn't like publicity.
Au ndio napendanga sasa.
She was, usinipost Janet. Usinipost. But she's really good. Aya, sasa tuende kwa Business Daily. Sindio. Aya, Business Daily front page, IMF forced Kenya to swap SGR dollar loans for yuan. All right, let's have a look at that. It says here, powerful Western leaders led by the World Bank and the IMF forced Kenya to convert dollar-dominated standard gauge railway SGR debt into yuan after concerns that the creditors' cash was being channeled to China. President William Ruto's top economic advisor, David Ndii, said the multilateral lenders were disturbed over the use of their dollar loans to pay China instead of supporting the country's budget and infrastructure projects. Kenya last month completed converting $3 dominated loans from China into yuan, with the Treasury saying it would save the country about $250 million a year on interest payments. That's interesting. I really want to try and understand what David D is threading when it comes to IMF. Did we read a different headline yesterday?
There was a different, what was, no, I don't want to misquote it.
Yes, I think it was along the lines of, almost like it's a wait and see. Hang on while we review, internalize, see if there's other options. And I'm paraphrasing.
That was a few days ago. You're right. No, was it yesterday?
I think it was the day before. You're right. But it was this week.
Yeah, but we were looking for other options. Yeah.
So now he's commenting and saying, I'll just say that again, that the multilateral lenders were disturbed over the use of their dollar loans to pay China instead of supporting the country's budget and infrastructure projects. Okay. It seems to be, unless this is just the process of how negotiations go and trying to...
Is this negotiate? But do we negotiate with the IMF, to be quite honest?
That's a good point.
With a lender who has you by the... do you negotiate really? I don't know. But you're right. Hapa kuna, there's something happening. There's definitely something happening.
Yeah.
Also, when they say that the lenders didn't want like their dollars being used to pay China, as opposed to supporting infrastructure projects, or as opposed to the country's budget, then that kind of makes sense. I don't know. Is that a wild thing? Is it an entirely wild thing?
Asking for a friend. Oh my gosh, how do we have a minute to the break?
Okay.
Wait, so there was something else here. You know, when you read the Business Daily today, and I've had to double check that it's the right date, because there's also another story here on NSE closing above 3 trillion milestone for the first time. Again, yesterday we heard about the NSE, yesterday or the day before.
It was yesterday,
It was yesterday. So now it's gone on to say that the market value of the NSE closed above 3 trillion shillings for the first time in the wake of a remarkable rally that began last year and was then turbocharged by Safaricom's profit announcement yesterday. And we have a picture there of Safaricom Group CEO, Group Finance Officer, Dilipal, then the CEO, Peter Ndegwa, and we also have the Chief Executive Officer of Safaricom Ethiopia during the announcement yesterday, looking very pleased with themselves, because that is quite a milestone. Also, Elon Musk is the first person who will be paid $1 trillion in the world. It's the first trillionaire. That news came out yesterday. It's moving on today. People are debating over it.
Is he already, or he's like on set?
Now this was announced between yesterday and today. He's a trillionaire. Elon Musk is a trillionaire, guys.
What is a trillionaire?
We'll come back and unpack what a trillionaire is.
Yeah.
Mariam is clutch my pearls.
Because we've just started doing 1 billion with Kikombe. The syllabus is moving too fast. What's a trillion?
Kikombe, over to you. We'll come back and take a look at the Daily Nation and other stories that we're following for you that we highlighted last night. Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time. Back in a moment.
Hello, Fixing the Nation. My name is Charles Michael. I speak from Dar es Salaam. And you guys, first of all, you are doing the great job to fix the nation, and I see this is good for me to share with you guys, because I have been following you, how you're discussing and reporting what is happening in our country, Tanzania, during the election, last week. A lot of things happened last week, and it was so sad, and I never expected in my life, I never anticipated to see what I saw last week. And I saw people were shot, and I saw bodies, I saw, people were injured, I saw blood, just something I never expected, I never anticipated in my life. Okay, the people of Tanzania has been voicing their own dissatisfaction, but they are always, protesting, non-violent. But this time around, they decided to, to protest and to demand their own issues.
Thank you so much to our Tanzanian fixer there. Thank you so much for sending that WhatsApp Nation video. It's coming from a place of just a lot of pain. I'm just going to say thank you. And I'm really, really sorry, because you've told us what you've seen over the last week. And you shouldn't have had to see that. It shouldn't be happening to the people of Tanzania and the people in Tanzania right now. But it's unfortunately where we are at. Just praying for, one, a return to normalcy, but two, justice for all those who've lost their lives, all those who've undergone any form of, whether it is torture, abduction, whether it is beatings, whether it is being tear gassed, all of that, whether it is cyberbullying, whether it's harassment, and just hoping for, healing that comes from a place of like justice for the people of Tanzania and a better governance going forward. But thank you so much, Fixer. That was a wonderful, wonderful Was Up Nation. Na Fixers tunatoka kila mahali, si Kenya peke yake. So tuko na Fixers wetu kila mahali dunia. Asante sana. 011-500-400 is the number to send us your WhatsApp Nation to. 0112-500-400. And of course, we'll be more than happy to share yours in the next hour.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. George Kimando says, good morning, Janet and Mariam. Does Mariam know Black Mamba, the T-shirt she's donning, was the SUV of the village?
I do. That's why I'm wearing the T-shirt. That's why I'm wearing the T-shirt. The Black Mamba it's an icon.
It's an iconic.
It's an iconic bicycle.
Yes.
Ni Ferrari baiskeli, basically. Yes.
So Charles says, solo fixers, when God cooks, you don't see smoke.
Eh. Okay.
It's maybe I'm loading.
Maybe
1 a.m. wake up time ni Ningumu. Then we have still Mike the One. Good morning, fixers. Don't make decisions before kneeling in prayer. God's wisdom builds what human strength cannot. Nashera Kodawa. I wish we could give people their flowers when they're still alive. Those who are showering Raila with accolades insulted him using unprintable words before. It's one of those things that, it's one of... You have to navigate it. It's true. It was politics. Sometimes it was unnecessary. I think even the family appreciates that politics can get that way. They've been very gracious, to be fair, and maybe there's that understanding. But maybe it's also a lesson in just how we move while we're all here.
Very true.
But thank you for that reflection, Nashera. Finally, I know we have Agri Momanyi saying, when a 4-year-old child is still crawling instead of walking, it's time to raise concern. And then he's also standing with the people of Tanzania. Finally, the Kikombe is checked in to heal the open wound. If you had $1 billion and you were conned of 500,000 shillings every month without fail, worry less, because after 166 years, you would still be left with 4 million shillings. Surely.
If someone conned you of 500K every month,
you can just be like, basi.
And they did that for 166 years.
You'd still have 4 million.
Okay.
And earlier I'd said trillionaire status is in reach for Elon Musk as his pay package has been approved. So he's set to become the world's first trillionaire after Tesla's crucial vote.
What is...
Yeah, Mariam has just been like, explain.
A trillionaire.
We need to thread on that story. It's a big story. I've seen it all over dailies across the world right now. So... I guess the first of its kind. And just trying to understand. People have already started saying, can I tell you what you can do with it? Others are like, can you give most of it away?
Why are you in a position to have $1 trillion of anything?
Yeah.
Except, I don't know, maybe seconds to live. Why? This is crazy. Okay. We'll thread on that. There's something that Don Sabwa said. Ako busy hapa Ma Cultural Festival. Hapa kwa kina Eric. In Malawi, festive, like at the atmosphere is festive. We say Zokondweretsa, that's the mood, Chisangalo, and event.
Wow. Hey. Okay. Thank you, Don.
Zokondweretsa, Chisangalo, Mwambo Wosongalatsa. Please, Don zimekuwa nyingi sasa. Ebu tupeleke pole pole.
Syllabus once again.
Syllabus inasonga very, very quickly.
Thank
fast.
You. All right. Mariam, there's something you wanted to take a look at on the front page of the Daily Nation.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about that?
Mambo ni mengi. Suddenly we've become very clever. Protect our citizens, Kenya tells Tanzania. 1 week, 2 days after the elections. 1 week, 2 days after internet was shut down. 1 week, 2 days after power outages. 1 week, 2 days since we started hearing reports of people being shot by security forces, seeing videos coming out of Tanzania that are incredibly worrying. 1 week, 2 days later, protect our citizens, Kenya tells Tanzania. Man, I wish it was a Tuesday because miss me with that. Diplomacy. In a meeting led by Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, the government yesterday demanded answers from Tanzania on the fate of Kenyans who have been caught up in the post-election crisis, asking Dodoma to guarantee their safety and to take action against any infringement of their rights. What the Prime Cabinet says: during the engagement, we emphasized the importance of ensuring the safety and security of all foreign nationals, including members of the Kenyan diaspora community, who continue to contribute to Tanzania's economic development through legitimate businesses and activities and professional services. That story continues on page 4 and page 5 of the Daily Nation. Actually, not page 4 and page 5.
The one for Mudavadi?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Kenyans living in Tanzania deserve protection. That's on page 4. Yes.
It's actually, yeah. It continues to say, Vocal Africa claims 3,000 to 5,000 people have been killed in the election mayhem. Yeah. Kenya has demanded for answers from Tanzania on the fate of its citizens caught up in post-election violence. The government has asked Tanzania to guarantee the safety of Kenyans and to take action against the infringement of their rights. The demand follows reports of Kenyans in the neighboring country living in fear due to threats of victimization on suspicion of taking part in the protests witnessed during and after the October 29th general election. Kenyan families raised concern about the safety of their relatives in Tanzania as reports emerged that an unknown number had been killed, injured, detained, or were nursing injuries inflicted by security officers. A family of one Kenyan went public on Monday, saying it had credible information that a relative, a teacher in Dar es Salaam, was killed, but the body could not be traced. Kenyans have been caught up in a crackdown announced by police and President Samia Suluhu Hassan targeting foreigners. There are reports of Kenyans seeking assistance from the High Commission in Dar es Salaam to return home. Kenya's High Commissioner to Tanzania, Isaac Njenga, told the nation that anyone wishing to leave was free to do so. During her swearing in for a second term in Dodoma on Monday, President Suluhu lifted the dusk to dawn curfew that was declared on Wednesday and announced restoration of internet services and communication channels.
He went on to say, during the engagement, we emphasized the importance of ensuring the safety and security of foreign nationals, including Kenyans. This is according to Mr. Mudavadi's statement. He acknowledged the reports of killings, arrests, and harassment. I think this is what needs to fundamentally shift in leadership, even though there is such a push to revert to old tactics and narratives. To say we raised concerns, you have to demand, you have to agitate and literally cry foul and say, we do not accept this. This is not something that should happen in our country or any other country, and we demand answers. And this is where the diplomacy is getting so fickle. This old guard and old way of posturing and of speaking, it can't work anymore. And I think it's incredible to see how much it's been fought by leadership. I'll speak for the East African region because, hey, right now, the scripts are being shared. It's like, no, do this. It tends to work. It's not working and it's not sustainable. 3,000 to 5,000 people, if that ends up being the number tallied, that is a massacre. It has to be called what it is. And then you can't say diplomatically, we urge them to please keep people safe. This is not the time to talk like that. And I think they're just going to have to figure out a way, whether or not they want to maintain their relationship. They have to figure out a way to do it, but to read the room and the tone and change from being over diplomatic and sanitized to saying, hey, can we just take stock of what we're doing here?
Right.
Because it's not sustainable. And then there's that creeping feeling that this is something that's going to happen. We had our fixer yesterday say, if we're not careful, it's exasperating.
It is extremely exasperating. And I am calling big BS on this statement, first of all, because the Prime Cabinet Secretary starts by focusing on the safety of foreign nationals, including Kenyan citizens. You're the Prime Cabinet Secretary of Kenya. Other nationalities will take care of their people. It can't be foreign nationals and Kenyan people. You agitate for Kenyans, not for foreign nationals. I am so incredibly agitated at this. That's one. Two, the High Commissioner saying that all those who wish to leave Tanzania are free to do so. when you know what's been happening in the country. You don't say you're free to do so. You say, this is what the High Commission is doing to get Kenyans who want to leave Tanzania out. These are the flights we're booking. You can come to the High Commission. We will help get you back home should you wish to leave. This is, I don't know.
100%. Yesterday, remember, we read Kenyans saying, we can't leave our house.
Right.
So they're not free to do so. They are fearing for their lives. Tanzanians are also fearing for their lives. And we're honestly holding space for everyone who is there right now. But to say free to do so, you need to read and listen and follow what was being said yesterday by them.
Right.
They're scared to send text messages, to make phone calls. So no, they're not free to do so. To your point, make arrangements.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell them this is how we're getting you out. This is the plan. These are the flights available. Come to the High Commission. If you need documents, this is things like that. It's incredibly callous. It's pretending to care. This is what it is.
Yeah.
It's pretending to care about Kenyans in Tanzania. And we know the rhetoric. When you hear President Suluhu saying, ni jirani this, jirani that, jirani this, it's us. We are the jirani. And the jirani is not taking care of their people in Tanzania.
Do you want to look at the Kidero story just before we move to last night's news?
Yes.
Let's have a look at that.
Oh, he's been exonerated. Is the word?
Acquitted.
Acquitted, yes. I was about to say exonerated. But yes, actually, whoa, it may disappear. Oh my God.
Oh.
But we'll be, I'll be able to get the story. You can have a look at it.
But it basically says, Kidero acquitted of 213 million shillings corruption charge. The court has ruled that the former Nairobi governor and 5 others have no case to answer in a trial that has taken more than 5 years. This is when we talk about the wheels of justice. I honestly feel like if we could just get it right at the justice factor, there'd be a lot more accountability.
Right.
But that's just a look. And then very briefly, Safaricom first half profit up 52% on M-Pesa growth. And then finally in education, something we touched on briefly moments ago, but this is a bit different. 2,145 primary schools face merger as enrollment shrinks. The institutions across the country failed to meet the minimum enrollment threshold of 45 learners, according to the Education Ministry. We are still continuing to compromise education in this country. We had Grace Yongesa yesterday talk about universities. It's happening across the board. Let's not be blind to it. I think these are just subliminal ways in which it becomes this groundswell of deprioritization of sectors like education.
Yeah.
It begins with this.
So how many are set to merge? 5,000?
Over 2,000.
2,000.
Either face closures or there's mergers. And the minimum threshold has not been met of 45 learners. Then when you tally that against the fact that it's becoming more expensive, makes sense. Hey, there's a lot we need to thread on next week. We can't leave these stories just as they are. They're pretty concerning. Let's move to last night's stories. I'll begin with this one on load shedding, which again came up yesterday when we heard the president make these remarks. But the president said in Doha, Qatar, his remarks have reignited a debate over Kenya's power situation. The Ministry of Energy now says that part of the president's remarks on load shedding have been misinterpreted to mean Kenyans in different parts of the country experience load shedding every day for several hours. Okay, so let's do this. Let's listen to what the PS of Energy has to say. That is Alex Washira. I think that is the bite that we have. So I don't know whether the PS is clarifying what the president tried to say or was trying to say, but let's have a listen and then come back and discuss.
Part of the communication that the president did give was taken out of context. Load shedding is not an everyday affair. From where I sit, Kenyans should not worry. They should not worry that we are going to be load shedding. And secondly, to your question, we don't have targeted areas. Because it doesn't happen daily. It happens occasionally. Like I think 2-3 weeks, we had 2 incidences where we load shed when we were having heavy rains. That time we were not having adequate generation in terms of wind. So that those 2-3 days, and the other 2 days we didn't have Ethiopia in. So we also load shed. The difference between a blackout and load shedding is you let go of a few customers, a few feeders, to ensure that you balance the load between the load and the generation. Because sometimes you may have incidences where if you have a plant that is out you may have a generation that is not meeting your load requirements. And so therefore, you are forced to let go of some customers because if you insist on having them on the grid, it can easily cause the grid to have instability and it may lead to a national outage. So to prevent that, you do what you call load shedding. So you let go of some feeders, then after the load balances, then you bring the customers back. Mostly 2-3 hours. 2-3 hours, the demand is back. The generation, as the country goes to sleep, the demand slows down, and so therefore you're able to meet the demand. So it doesn't.
We do have issues with supply to a level where some plants are down, some are undergoing maintenance, and we don't have enough what we call spinning reserve. There's not much headroom. So you'd find in a week, you'd load shed maybe once or twice. It's not every single day, but you'll find that more often than not, one would have a blackout and it's not a fault in the line. It's actually a question of load shedding.
Today, in Kenya, jioni between 5 and 10 p.m., we have to do load shedding. We have to shut off some areas.
And I know we probably got a better understanding in that report of load shedding, not necessarily the bites, although you were saying you're trying to balance. It's the intentional controlled shutdown of power to certain areas of electricity grid to prevent a larger widespread collapse of the entire system. What happens? Demand outstrips supply, controlled shutdown. It's about balancing the grid. I was trying to talk about South Africa yesterday and trying to read about why their electricity crisis is primarily due to a structural failure in power generation. And so I know there's been rising demand and limited renewable integration. And it began January 2008. It returned intermittently between 2014 and 2019. And from 2020 onward, load shedding became nearly daily, peaking in 2023 when South Africans experienced over 300 days of power cuts. I remember it being a really big story. So let's try, I think I'm just trying to understand the need to, because the demand outweighs the supply. But I do think we need to have broader, more, just broader conversations on load shedding, the implications, and just getting people to understand. Mariam Akokwa missed me with that on different tangents.
You know
I'm
why?
really just trying to understand,
This conversation has just started this week.
Exactly.
If indeed we have been load shedding, why has there been no word of it? I think this week experienced like a blackout. I think Monday, it was Monday evening, I think. Probably about 3 hours. I don't know. I fell asleep, but when I woke up, I think power was back. I don't know if that was load shedding. But again, went through Kenya Power's Twitter pages, which for the longest time have been the best way to find out about planned shutdowns. When they have scheduled maintenance, Kenya Power will update on their page. In this area, that area, we'll be doing this and this from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. When there's a national blackout, they'll update on that X page. And I know they have other, pages, but I personally follow their Twitter. It's always been the place where I get updates from Kenya Power. It's also the place where if I have issues with my power, I just go and tweet and they reply and whatever. If we have been load shedding, why has Kenya Power not let us know that you are experiencing load shedding in area X from this time to this time, from 5 to 6, from 8 to 10, from whatever time it is? There's something. I don't know what fishiness is going on here.
So Joy Brenda addressing from Kenya Power, I'm wondering whether now that is going to lead to an update, because she just did share, and you can see the scramble to try and just put people at ease. But to your point, let people anticipate what's going to happen. But it sounds very reactionary. And she's come in and said, no, this is what we mean when we say it. So we'll see whether the platforms will update. But I do think, people just need a better understanding of load shedding versus a regular blackout, how long it goes. Are our grids, were they doing as badly as the ones in SA that they experienced days and days and days on end? They were up in arms. I remember that very clearly. Because it's obviously an inconvenience. But I think if you allow people to anticipate and plan.
Also, when we've had several conversations with the energy sector, Jano, why did none of them? It never came up that, hey, we do anticipate in the next few months we could be load shedding because XYZ. In fact, when we have conversations with the energy sector, it's more on what we're adding to the grid, how much more we need to industrialize, how much more we need to this and that, not a matter of like we're not able to meet our demands now. And then we've asked the question, people say we generate more power than we need, and they've explained to us that basically we're almost at par because the usage of power fluctuates, you know, whether it's between nighttime and this, or whether we're using more geothermal, more this and that. We've had these conversations with actual energy players. Load shedding never came up. So I am asking big questions.
Yeah.
What is happening here?
We need to bring them back. Thank you for pointing that out, because we have had conversations with them.
Should we go on to the...
education or?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a fact, actually, there's the education story and the fact that a lot of parents are basically shocked at the new fee structure that they will be paying. And the government has slashed capitation for free day secondary education from 22,344 shillings per learner to 12,870 shillings. And for the first time in years, day school parents will now have to pay direct fees under the new competency-based education rollout for senior school. It's a sharp contrast to the era of President Mwai Kibaki, whose administration opened the doors to free primary education in 2003 and later expanded access to secondary school learning. Let's question what's exactly happening, and let's listen in to Boaz Waruku, who is an education expert and of course a parent to a learner, on what exactly they're being asked to pay and how they prepare for it, given that it's kind of a shocker.
The Ministry of Education just decides that each and every time they want to make serious decision, they just surprise everybody else. They don't follow the law. They don't consult anyone. They just air it out there, and that is a fait accompli. You either pay or your children remain out. And this is contrary to the spirit and the letter of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Article 43, for example, guarantees the right to education. And Article 53 talks about the right of every child to free and compulsory basic education. So from that standpoint, the decisions that the ministry is now broadcasting to the public is a decision which is ill-informed, ultra-vires the law.
Wazazi watafinyiliwa sana kwa sababu kama saa hizi tunashindwa na kusomesha watoto. Saa hizi wakati hiyo capitation itakuwa reduce, itaonekana most of our children hawatasoma. Already budget imeharibika na naona itaharibika zaidi, kwa sababu hata saa hizi tukisema unasema mtaongezea, yani mtareduce hiyo capitation ya watoto kulipiwa shule. Na already hata mimi saa hizi watoto wako nyumbani, niko na watoto 4 na hata niko na fees balances. Kwa hivyo next year kama kutakuwa hivyo, nafikiri tutakuwa pambaya zaidi.
That's a reality of many parents around. She's saying, already I have balances as it stands. You're now reducing the capitation. You're asking me to go out of pocket further. Make it make sense. What does that mean for those learners that we're looking at right now? What does it mean for our education system as a whole? What does it mean for our literacy and education levels in 10, 20 years to come?
That's what I'm saying. We saw what the free education did. We've seen the benefits. So what will this do? A lot of conversations to have next week, but what's coming up in the next hour?
Let's talk about activism. Maybe it'll be a little bit lighter. Hey, this morning has been tea for tea for tough. But we're talking to Zia Africa. Let's talk about using art to basically push for change, whether it is, in terms of governance, in terms of democracy, from a human rights perspective, using comedy, using satire, all of those and more. And we'll figure out the importance of also speaking in your mother tongue. Sometimes things only ingia when they come in your mother tongue. But we'll be speaking to Zia in just a bit.